Hello and good evening. Welcome to another wonderful session with Ladies in Tech Africa, where we discuss project management. It is another wonderful evening. My name is Kingsley, and with me tonight on the coach is Nancy Baba Ali. Once again, you are welcome. Can I confirm that you write in the chat box? Can you confirm that you can hear me loud and clear? Yes, if you can hear me, just type in the chat box that yes, you can hear me. Wow, Chinenye, thank you. Loud and clear, she says. Egovi, good evening. Omoda Sola, good and beautiful evening. I hope we had a wonderful weekend and we didn't have any class last Friday, but I'm sure we made very good use of the timeout to review our activities and to know where we are. Once again, you are welcome. All right, so can I confirm how was the weekend? The past weekend, how was it for you? Yeah, Otoyosi, good evening. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Mabel says she can hear me loud and clear. Same with Otoyosi and Uyenaik. Uyenaik, it's been a while. Where have you been? I don't know, but I've not seen you on the program for quite a while. All right. Uyenike, you're welcome. Okay, so it's going to be another interesting evening as we winding down on this particular bootcamp, this particular project management, and we are delving gradually into um, another wonderful aspect in project management. Chinaya says that the weekend was very long, but she tried going through some of the classes. Again, I think that's quite very interesting to hear. As expected, we ought to do some recap. Egovi says for her it was tasking. She had to travel outside the state for something quite important, and she has also been busy with other online classes. Continuous professional development is very important as long as we are existing as humans. So it's very key that we move on every blessed day to learn new things. And I would also say from here, you unlearn, you relearn, and then you learn new things. So it's very important. Once again, I say a big welcome to everyone. So, as is our usual practice, what were the key takeaways from last week's class with Miss Nancy and myself? So, what did we learn? What was what struck you most importantly in the learning process? What was key for you? What did you learn? Yeah, let's share so everyone can just pick something and I get to know really where we were. We delved into, let me just hold on and let's get more from the chat box. Adetola says, good evening. You're welcome, Adetola. Yemi says, good evening, good everyone, and good evening, Mr. Kingsley. Good and beautiful evening. Luasikemi, you're welcome. Gift Opera, you're also welcome. Good to see, have every one of us here in the class tonight. Okay. So, what were the key takeaways? What did you learn? What was so striking for you in the last class? Yeah, key takeaways. What did you learn? What was so striking for you? Yeah, we are still trying to class. So, before we delve into tonight's activity, all right, Otoyosi kicks off tonight with her usual way of doing recap. She said she learned about project management tools and techniques or technologies or terminologies. Maybe agile, I guess, yeah. Oluwasi Kemi says she learned that evaluation of lessons learned at project closure helps in future projects. That way, you can avoid the pitfalls you made the last time out. Mm, I quite agree with you. So, we actually talked about project closure. We talked about um, project management tools and some of the terminologies or methodologies. Okay, and it was key that we did mention that project closure is one of the five key tools in project life cycle, and anything that has a beginning has an end. So definitely it's key for us to understand that whatsoever project we are involved in, while treating a project as an entity in itself, it tells us that we must look at the bigger picture, bring the project itself to a successful completion, to a close. Everything that was done in that project, from initiation to execution, monitoring and control, everything has to be summarized to be brought to an end. And there has to be an evaluation report or a final report. So it's also key for us to understand that uh, in project closure, there are different reports. Okay. Some of the time we have an inception report at the beginning or at the early phase of the project. Outside the inception report, we do also have the progress report, which accounts for continuous improvement, what exactly has been done in the project thus far. And then we have the final report. So, final report embodies documentations of lessons learned, um, challenges, recommendations, the way forward, and if possible, an sustainability plan. If such projects if the life cycle do not end exactly at that particular time. So there should be opportunity for people or other project managers or stakeholders to have like a kind of review going forward on that particular project. People should be able to make reference to the outcomes, expected outcomes of the project, and be able to draw conclusions. We did mention that very key, there should be sign off documentation at each phase or of the project or when you have achieved a milestone. So it's very key Very important to understand that. Okay. So if we are ready for tonight's class, I think we can delve quickly into um, looking at why we're here tonight. Okay. So if you are ready for tonight's class, can I just see in the chat box that I am ready? Let's roll, Mr. Kingsley. Adetola says she learned about project portfolio management, which was about managing multiple projects, tools, and applying different technologies. So it's very key that we need to understand that you may be a project manager handling more than one project, and we must see it as that. So tonight, we will be delving into another phase of learning, which is titled Leadership Styles in Project Management. In week 4 of this bootcamp, we talked about team management, team development. So tonight we're going to be talking about leadership styles in project management. So we want to see the approach, the behavior we exhibit as project managers. So it's very key to understand that. So let's delve quickly. What do you understand by leadership? And then leadership styles. What is it in a layman's understanding? If that word is just mentioned to you for the first time, what exactly comes to mind? What do you think? What exactly does it mean to you? So let's go to the chat box. Leadership. What is leadership to you? And what is leadership style? Let me just get feedback and then we'll take it up from there. Leadership. What is leadership? What do you think leadership is? What is leadership to you as a person? What is leadership? And what do you think when we talk about leadership styles? What is it exactly to you? Yeah, in the chat box. Yeah. Yeah, Gulu says she's ready. Marvelous says she's ready. Let's roll, Mr. Kingsley. So we are rolling. So tonight, what exactly is leadership? What do you think that word leadership means? Yeah, what is leadership? So let's take it from that perspective tonight. Okay, Zoe, welcome. Good evening. She says that leadership styles to her or in her understanding are the different ways we manage people and situations. That's quite good. Oluwatosin says that leadership is the ability to bring people together to achieve a goal. Omolara says that leadership means a state of being a leader or the position to lead. Okay, all right, I quite agree with us. Mhm. Beautiful Gift says leadership is the act of leading people, that same word, to lead. And you can also say it is the ability to manage people. God's favor says that leadership is the ability to lead, guide others towards a common goal, while leadership style is one's unique way of guiding others towards a common goal. Okay, so I quite agree with, I can see Ugona's message, feedback, Dorcas, Adepoju, leadership is influence. Yes, that's a strong one. And it's part of what we are looking at tonight. Your ability to lead people means to influence them. You either influence them positively or you influence them negatively. Okay? So, yeah, Sylvia, I agree with you. Someone at the helm of affairs, leading people to achieve a common goal. So, Egovia shared that same. Glory Kell says the same thing, ability to guide a group of people, leading by example, managing people, and having understanding. Good evening, Rachel, and you're welcome. So, Esther says leadership means the ability to influence people to do what is necessary to achieve a common goal. So, I think we have a clear understanding of what leadership is. So, it makes it even a lot more easier tonight to talk about the reason why we're here. So, it makes it yeah. So, it makes it quite we can relate with that. Okay. Okay, so let's delve into tonight's class, leadership styles. So we would be looking at the different leadership styles in project management. We would also delve into ethical considerations in project management, and then we'll conclude with professional responsibility expected of project managers. So let's delve quickly. What is leadership? We have defined leadership, yeah, from the chat box: ability to lead people, ability to place people in a capacity to follow. So, must be a leader and there must be followers. So, tonight we're saying that leadership is the art of getting others to do something. Like in the team, we had 5 teams, okay? We had a leader. There were team leads who were in charge of teams, okay? So, they were in the capacity, the position of leadership, the provided leadership, because everything rises and falls on leadership. So to lead here means to run in a specific direction, to provide that kind of vision, to direct, to be the first. A leader typically are the ones who go first. So the leader has that I can do attitude. A leader is the first who provides the requisite um, guidance. He's always at the first step, always ready to take the first step. So the leader goes before the followers to provide direction. So I can also recall I think Mabel did mention that leadership is influence. So when we say leadership is influence, it means also that uh, is the process of influencing the activities of an individual, a group, or a team in efforts towards achieving a specific goal in a specified situation. So we are, as your facilitators tonight, we are providing leadership by teaching, by providing the requisite training and understanding. And then at your level, the team leads have provided that level of influence to ensure that each team submitted their uh, projects. By the way, I must really commend every team. Your performance in the team project was really commendable. And I must also say that um, I may not have been too pleased with having inactive members in some of the groups, the teams, but I just want to urge us that as a follower, try to provide as much support you can to a leader. That is part of why we are seeing what we're discussing tonight. Okay? to induce your subordinate to work with zeal and confidence. So even when your subordinates or the team members are not ready to work, there must be some kind of leverage that leader would provide to try to find out what exactly. I think I had a discussion with one of the team leaders. I said, what exactly could be the reason why we had inactive members? And one of the leaders also reached out and said, I have tried to provide influence. I have reached out to some of the team members to find out why exactly they are not performing their task. So in projects, every person is important. Okay. So everybody is a stakeholder. You have a role to play. So nobody exists alone. Okay. Yeah, Kimperlu, peace. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So everyone has a role to play. Wow, Omodosala is appreciating her team lead. I think that's also very commendable. So it's good. It's good. We said something about celebrating ourselves. I think in project closure. So I think teams, you can also go ahead to celebrate yourselves. It's very important. Okay. So part of the reasons why we're talking about leadership tonight is leadership is about influence, trying to bring out the best in the next person. Okay. All right. So having said that, we um we move ahead. Every leader, there are different types of leaders. Okay. So, but why is leadership important? It is important for motivation. When we motivate ourselves, when a leader motivates team members, the expectation ratio is higher. The performance attitude is lifted. The morale is boosted. Okay. It provides some kind of counseling, it provides some kind of guidance to create a balance between your emotions and the challenges that are faced at the workplace or at the place of handling projects to bring out what we call effective performance. So, as much as possible, leadership is important because it tries to strike a balance between why you should be on that project and what are the expectations from you as a stakeholder in that project to deliver. It builds what we call team spirit. It inspires confidence and strives for excellence. So, whatever we're doing as leaders, we must bring the right spark to boost the spirit in the team. Sometimes, where you watch, I so much love the sport, basketball. When you watch basketball, in between, at intervals, you see what they call cheerleaders. They just come in and do what? They try to provide some kind of dance and cheer, both to the spectators and also for the teams. And then there's what we call team talk. Okay. So in between intervals, the team talks that are provided by the leaders or the coach or the mentor, it sparks interest, it sparks motivation, it gingers, if I may use that word, it gingers the team. So if your level is about like 30%, maybe you're on the losing side, and it gives the leader gives you the spark. From 30%, you're already shooting up to 60, 70, and you're ready to move. So that is the attitude. The I can do attitude is what we need to spark in our teams. Okay. So another importance of leadership is it helps us to manage time effectively. It helps to give us that mindset of, say, everything is time bound. So one of the characteristics of projects is that every project is time bound. So even in your when you're preparing your charts, when you're preparing your project charter, okay, you discover that every when you do your work breakdown structure, you discover that Every milestone is tied to a timeline. Okay, so people need to get things done when due, as at when it needs to be done. In one of the groups, we had a discussion where a project of a particular task that was supposed to last for 2 weeks lasted for 6 weeks, simply because we're waiting for the building contractor felt that I think he's more of an expert than delivering on his task. So it is the role or the duty of the project manager, the leader, to watch out for lapses. Why would there be a 4 weeks extra delay in a project? So it's important. Leadership is important because it helps us to know how we are faring in terms of utilizing or managing time successfully. Now, who who is a leader? Let's see some of the concepts of leadership. It is often said that leaders are made, not born, and they are not inherited. So you don't inherit leadership simply because your father or your boss in the office led or occupied a specific role as the chief executive officer of the organization does not mean that you are the next in line. Simply because your dad or your mom was the Secretary General of the United Nations doesn't automatically make it your position. So it means that every leader must work, must help a group to achieve their set objectives. Leadership is influence. Leadership commands authority. And what is authority? Authority is the power to influence the conduct and reaction of others. So we say here that authority influences power. So what we bring on board as project managers matters a lot. We must have the capacity, the willpower, the sheer strength, the finesse to lead people and lead aright. Omodo Salah is appreciating her team lead because of the level of capacity she brought on board. Okay, so it's very important. Esther Ifeoluwa is also appreciating her team lead and is saying that she was very proactive, indefatigable, and wonderful. I can see tonight, I don't know whether tonight is really about appreciating the team leads, but that is very, very cool. Okay, so Ononuju says, beautiful ladies of Team 5. Well, I don't know really, but she's trying to pass a message. She says something didn't do anything. You guys are the MVPs. I doff my hat for you. So it's very important. Elizabeth is also saying thank you and that the team was quite an amazing one. So it's very key. It's very important for us to understand that um, leadership is demanded when progress towards a group goal is blocked. So sometimes there are barriers. There are barriers in projects. There are challenges in projects. We face a lot of constraints. Okay, there are competing constraints in project in projects, and sometimes the scope creep. There could be scope creep into our project. So, and these call for leadership. Someone has to take responsibility. So every leader should learn to take responsibility as a matter of fact. So you don't just feel that, sometimes as a leader, when the project fails, you should take responsibility for that. That's the first thing. Okay. And then you look inwards and find out where exactly did you get it wrong? Where did we not get it correct? Okay. So it's very key very important for us to understand that. Okay, Amina Abubakar, you're welcome. So let's just key into what we're doing tonight. Okay. So, oh, Nancy Babali is so wonderful. I know she did an amazing job as well. Okay, I think we should really appreciate my co-facilitator. She's really doing a good job. So, I'm sure the class can relate that too. Okay, so now we've talked about leadership and leaders. So now that we know that leaders are not born, they are made. You don't inherit it. You must prepare your mind to become an effective leader. There are some factors of leadership. Number one, who is a leader? A leader is someone that has an understanding, honest understanding of him or herself and others. You should know yourself. You should know your capabilities. You should know what you can do and what you cannot do. A great leader convinces their followers to move in the same direction with them. Every project has a vision. Every project has a set objective. So the leader must be able to convince the followers, the team members, to key in alongside whatever they are bringing on board. So it's very important. It's very key. And then who are the followers? The followers should know themselves. They know their leader. They have good understanding of the human nature. They understand their need. They know their emotions. They know they need to be motivated even when there is no motivation. You motivate yourself. So the third factor of leadership is communication. Communication can be positive. Communication can be negative. So there could be bad communication, which can harm the relationship between the leader and the follower. In fact, when there is the lesser the communication, the worse it is for the project, because nobody would be on the same page. Stakeholders would not be on the same page. They all will be suffering here and there. The project will be stagnated. And then finally, the fourth factor of leadership is the situation. The leader uses a situation to judge what is exactly the best course of action. We talked about something that had to do with situational analysis. Every leader should be situational. You should you should be able to differentiate different aspects of the project. At different times in the project, you're going to be encountering different things. Different things will be happening, different team members with their different attitudes and actions. We must know when to apply what style to each particular situation. I'm sure the team leads can corroborate that particular aspect of what I just said. So they were being situational with some of the issues that they faced. So let us look at some of the leadership styles tonight. Okay. So we have talked about leadership styles. Okay. So what exactly are leadership styles? So if you go by the name, the style, we're talking about the manner in which a leader interacts with his or her subordinates. So the way you interact with your team members provides the style. Kurt Lewis in 1939, in his theory, came out with some leadership styles, postulated some leadership styles. Number one, he did mention was We have the autocratic, authoritarian style of leadership. We have the autocratic. He bosses people around. It must be my way. As I have said it, so it must be. So the autocratic, authoritarian leadership style or leader takes all the decisions alone. The power is centralized, not decentralized. He issues all the instructions. He gives the mandate. He has the first say, the second say, the third say, and the final say. He detects all activities. He determines all the policies. To an extent, can be very abusive, can exhibit high level of unprofessionalism. Doesn't really care who you are. He can abuse your mother. He can say all manner of things against your father. He can talk to you the way he likes or she likes. I mean, we have such leaders like that. So it's very difficult having such leadership, uh, having such leaders in our team. You don't listen to anybody. You don't care how they are. You don't want to know what they're feeling. You don't care. All you care about is you are the boss. You issue all the decisions. You take all the rules. You make the rules. You make the laws. You set the business ideas and everything. Nobody brings up any idea. You dare not. He will tell you when he's out of that position, then you can step in and make your decisions and give your input. So it doesn't care. The second aspect of the second type of leadership style we have here tonight is democratic. The democratic leader seeks for consultation. The democratic leader seeks for participation. The democratic leader looks for ways to include one or two team members in the decision-making process. He tries to provide some sense of equality. He doesn't see himself or herself like the boss. In as much as he's the boss or she is the boss, it tries to give others a sense of belonging. It provides an open communication system. Yes, what do you have to say? I think on this particular project, can you give me your best idea? What do you think we should? Do you think there are things you think we should implement or bring on board? Um, okay, let me hear you. A sort of kind of friendly interaction. He welcomes suggestions. That is a democratic leader. Then number three, we have the laissez-faire leader. As much as this is a leader, he tries to get less involved in project activities. So as the project manager, he leaves more of the work to maybe he has or she has an assistant project manager. Position and go ahead. Just give me feedback, the outcome. I'm enough. I'm enough. I think I'm okay. So the employees are allowed to analyze situations by themselves. They make decisions. Independent actions or attitudes or lifestyle are encouraged. Team members are free to set goals for themselves. So that is the laissez-faire style of leadership. All right, let's just go to the chat box and confirm that we are still together. Kemi is saying that Chioma Team 1, team lead, was a democratic leader. Wow. So she carried others along. She gave others an opportunity to say or air their views. That's quite nice. That's quite interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Ngozi Favor says, yeah, that she is a democratic leader. That's quite cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So now, so as we are having this class, you are looking at yourself, you're x-raying yourself and asking yourself, oh, what kind of leader am I? Am I autocratic? Am I democratic? Am I a laissez-faire kind of leader? Then there are still other leadership styles that we have. We have the bureaucratic style of leadership. In fact, the bureaucratic style of leader. Okay, Akimpelu says, can we have examples where these leadership styles are used? Okay, for example, we have some countries that operate monarchical system. Okay, where a leader is chosen maybe by the fact or the reason of say come from a royal family and is handling a project. Okay, Tino Luanimi, yes, I can relate with you. I'll definitely answer that. Okay, so back to Akimpelu's pieces question. She wants some examples. So we can discover that there are projects where that allows for people to air their views. There are some organizations like we worked in a particular worked in the water sector for a few years, and I think the project manager as at that time, we were all subordinates working in different capacities, heading different departments as at that time, reporting to the project manager. So never gave you room to say what exactly you wanted to be done. Okay, he provides the the vision, he provides the roads, assigns the responsibilities, the funding comes from that aspect. So everything that was being done was from him. We couldn't say more. Okay, so all we did was to prepare our reports. So if something was going wrong, in fact, a lot of people were fired on the job. A lot of people were fired on the job. So, and you discover what such project does is it doesn't give room for anybody to say anything. Okay, so there are areas that's why we said that in project management, leadership styles should be situational. Okay, there are areas where you have to apply that autocratic nature, or else nothing would be done. In Nigeria here, for example, a lot of people wants to be pushed. A lot of people wants to be, in fact, to be dragged. I'm sure that in the teams that we had, there were people who were not willing to do anything. There were people who were not even willing to take a step. So in such situations, what do? You have to think out of the box. In such a situation, if you apply the laissez-faire approach, the project will suffer. The project will die. So it all boils down to understanding the kind of teams that you have. So Chioma was successful because the kind of people she had as subordinates were people who were willing to provide the necessary support. And everything rises and falls on leadership. So she brought in a leadership style that she felt that at that point in time, let her give it a try. and it worked. So if it doesn't work, you had to change. Then there are situations where we have abandoned projects. Nobody monitors what exactly happens. Immediately the project, the budget allocation is released. Nobody wants to work anymore. Pay me, let me, I will go, I will do the work. And at the end of the day, nothing, nobody does anything. So it's kind of difficult. You have a team, there's a committee of 5. Sometimes you see only 2 people end up working in that committee. Why? What happened to the other 3 people? Does it mean they don't know what to do? They were assigned responsibilities, but they were not really ready to do anything. So it's very important for us to understand that every project must be treated as it is. So sometimes, yes, Choma says there are certain situations where you have to be autocratic. There are certain situations where you have to be democratic. It is situational. It is situational. So there are projects where, like, where we have um people who need to go out to do what we call monitoring and evaluation. They set out in the morning at 8 a.m. Because nobody is monitoring them. They would do no work for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And then when the day is almost rounding off, you say, let me just go and work for 2 hours and I will now report that I have worked. So it's a problem. The problem is not the leader per se. The leader is doing the best to issue out instructions, but the team itself, the followers, are not ready to work. But you want to be paid. So who pays for people who don't work? Nobody. We have also discovered that in some aspects of work, when you tell people that attendance will be taken, you see them buckle up. Like on this project, now we know people who are inactive. Most possibly, some of them may end up not getting certificates simply because they don't want to do anything. The certificate is not for people who are inactive, it's for people who are ready to learn and follow up. So it's very important that we understand that as much as the leader has a grand role to play, team members must also ensure that they support the leader to perform. A successful leader is a product of a successful and effective team members. So that is it. So when we talk about bureaucratic leadership styles, we are talking we're talking about people who go by the book. When you get to the bank, I can recall Zenith Bank of those days. Zenith Bank 2000 year 2000. So if you want to, there must be a target. You must meet your target. Okay? There's a target that is set for you at the side. It's either you are meeting targets or not. So it's very key. It's very important that we understand that the bureaucratic leader wants to ensure that, as I'm telling you in the morning, that you are seeing 5 clients in a day. You must see 5 clients in a day. And at the end of the day, you must tell me, as your project manager, the outcomes. of that visit. Like we have people who are operating, um, let's take for example the masts, the network masts, maybe MTN, Airtel, Etisalat, Glow, and all that. These are high performing uh, machineries that are set up. So at every point in time, if we don't understand that those machineries are set up such that they must run on a daily basis, and they are programmed in such a way that if there is power failure, there must be operating mechanisms to ensure that they keep afloat. So in such situations, the leader must be bureaucratic, especially in the bank, for example. At the end of the day, whatsoever you received at the counter, you must countersign that no, not even a kobo was missing. So it's very important, very key. I'm sure if a kobo misses, you're definitely going to pay with your money. Just imagine that a million naira is unaccounted for. Where will you get 1 million naira to replace that? Hmm. Choma is bringing the Nigerian president into this class. I don't think he's part of this class either. So um, it's very important that we understand that the style that we bring on board our leadership goes a long way to tell about what kind of outcomes we are going to get. Like also in the airport, where every flight must be checked to meet operational standard before flying. Every flight before the plane is being prepared for to receive passengers on board the flight. Every passenger, every airplane must be checked, must go through minimum acceptable standards for flying. So it must meet certain flying standards, operational democratic. You cannot apply a laissez-faire attitude to it. You can't even be democratic. To an extent, you may, but because there may be issues that may arise, and you say, "No, I think there's something. Can we look at this? Can we see this? I think I noticed there's this particular noise coming from the wings." You can't ignore it. So every leadership must be situational. Okay. So also want to add here that there's also what we call the transformational style of leadership. It's quite inspirational in approach. The leader motivates the follower motivates the leader. They inspire one another towards that shared vision, towards the shared goal. Okay. So it's just like let's say you're delivering a road construction project. And at the end of the day, the aim or the goal of the road construction project is that it must stand the test of time, even after 5, 10 years, because there must be a sustainability plan. So if substandard materials are allowed, it is definitely going to cause what we call bad PR for the organization, or even for the project manager or the project sponsor. So it's going to cause a bigger problem. So it's very important we understand that leadership is transformational. A lot of people would prefer transformational because it has a kind of the approach is such that it looks at what exactly lies ahead, the bigger picture. The vision is corroborated by both the project manager and the team members. Then when you talk about transactional, you're looking at a situation where I think at the point we talked about the best staff for the month, the best dressed kind of team member, and things like that. So there's always a reward for good work, and there's also punishment for staff who do not do well. So if you don't meet your KPIs for the week, there can be deductions, and things like that. So in the transactional process of leadership, team members can also lead. They can evaluate, they can correct, they can train subordinates to make it to the desired level. So everybody wants to bring people to the point where they can actually understand what they are doing, how they are doing it, and what is expected of them. All right, so we are also going to talk about other leadership styles like being task oriented, where the project manager is more or less focused on getting the job done. It brings in some element of autocratic style of leadership, also defines the work and the roles required, and also puts the structures in place to ensure that whatever needs to be done is achieved as at when it should. There is also what we call the servant leadership style, where power is shared. The leader puts the employees first, or the leader puts the team members first. The leader also sees how he can or she can develop others, help others to grow, okay, and sees leadership as an opportunity to serve, okay. And while we have the charismatic style of leadership, where team members follow, they move they move in line with the leader based on the attributes, the qualities, the personality of the leader. So they are naturally drawn towards that particular leader, not by compulsion. Sometimes, yes, by compulsion, but to a larger extent, the compelling nature of that leader brings or forces that kind of charisma, the quality that he brings on board to see that the team members get along. So I think Chirma can also relate to that. Team one lead. I think some of the qualities that she was described with and are there for all to see. So far, it's just for us to evaluate, look at ourselves, okay? Not just about the team participation, but let's look at ourselves as project managers. Going forward, going forward, what kind of leadership style should I employ? What kind of leader should I even become? Do I have the capability? Do I have the capacity to bring people together and grow them such that the project would not suffer? These are things we would be pondering on as we go on a short break. When we return, we would delve further into leadership styles and some of the skills that we should have as project managers as we begin to round off um, the bootcamp on project management. You now begin to look at yourself and say, what exactly have I, what skills, what kind of styles, what have I acquired so far in being a leader that I ought to be? So we would have a timeout, okay? We would be back shortly. Please take this opportunity to take a break and then fill in the attendance, okay? See you in the second half of tonight's session. Thank you once again. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's class. Can I confirm that we are back? Please, can you confirm? If you are back, can I confirm that you are? All right. Thank you, Amina, for that feedback. Thank you, Dorcas. So let's delve quickly back into where we stopped. We were talking about leadership styles. We looked at the autocratic leader, the democratic leader, the laissez faire kind of leadership. We also talked about the task oriented leader, bureaucratic leader, the servant leader. And here we concluded with the charismatic kind of leader. So there are people that we come across in life that they are leaders. They are chosen because of the qualities in them. The leaders, the style, the command, their kind of personality, okay, their qualities, their abilities, and their capabilities. Okay, so let's move forward and talk about the leadership skills that every effective leader needs. An effective leader needs to be, to an extent, have good command of speaking. I can recall um, there was a project that sometimes a leader is chosen by your command, the way you're able to address people. So public speaking is also part of leadership quality. You must be free to express yourself without fear, without being jittery. You don't need to be timid. You need to be that kind of leader that would exhibit maximum level of confidence, or there is a minimum acceptable confidence level that is expected of every leader. So it's very key that we understand that. Okay. All right. We also talk about decision making skills. So every leader must be have some measure of creativity inside of him or her. So you must have that kind of, you don't need to be told what to do in an emergency situation. You need to exhibit that maximum level of I can be able. Sometimes in our CVs we see there's this statement that reads ability to work under little or no supervision. So when you're able to say you can work under little or no supervision, it means that when the duty demands, you should be able to bring on board your decision making skills. You should also be someone who can write. I can recall some years back where we were on a project, a maritime project. That project demanded that we're able to write proposals and take decisions. The chief executive officer of the organization was away. And as at that time, I was the IT officer. So I was in charge of, I was also the site engineer, handling some of the projects in the maritime sector for the organization. So what we did was the MD is already out of the country. He was out of the country. So a bid came up where we needed to express interest for or to tender for a bid for an advertised project. So all we had was some paperwork that talks about the company profile and a few details. So I had to come up with stepping in to write the bid proposals alongside the procurement manager and the engineering manager who delegated me to work on that. You won't tell your bosses that you can't. Well, where did you? What's that? You can tell your bosses that you cannot. So as a project manager, you should be able to take responsibility. You must know what to write, at least if not 100%, 80% or 90. So it's very important to understand that your speaking skills, your writing skills, when you communicate on phone, when you communicate via email, when you communicate via text messaging, when you communicate via any verbal or non-verbal means of communication, it should be unambiguous, it should be clear, it should be concise, it should be understood. Do you understand what I am saying? Or do I need to say it again? So you need to re-emphasize whether you are on the same page with the receiver. And in cases where you need feedback, you should request. You would be glad if feedback is provided. So you should understand that the duties of a project manager encapsulates leadership qualities that are embedded in understanding that project management, you must bring in your A game for people to understand who you are and what you're doing. You must have some problem solving skills. Oh, the MD traveled, he's not in the country. Should the project die? Should the project suffer? Or the person who is in charge of that is not available at the moment, and you know that in the next 1 month that person will not be there? What do you do? Or there is a failure in the system that warrants a solution, urgent solution. What do you do? There should also be what we call listening skills. An effective leader must listen effectively. It must be somebody who is not quick to talk, quick, easy to listen. You digest what has been said, and then you provide your feedback. Such a leader should also have what we call critical analytical thinking skills, ability to think out of the box. A lot of people in our society today are not, they don't want to be critical and analytical thinkers. There's what we call armchair kind of leaders. There are people who depend on AI for everything. So where is the place of your head, your thinking, your creativity in what you do? You should be political to an extent. You should network. You want to meet people. You want to have a larger clientele base. You want people. You want to meet people. You should be international in nature. When I say international, what I mean is to have You leverage on networks. You want to meet people. You engage in conversations when you have the opportunity to do so. You have the capacity to guide people, to bring people together to work. You bring your situational style of leadership to bear. Wow. Um, guess the network threw me out at some point. Yeah, hello. Can I confirm? Okay. All right. Sorry about the network glitch, okay? Hello, can you hear me right now? Can I confirm that you can hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So we were in a nutshell talking about the leadership styles that we need to become better performing project managers. Okay, so that's the point. Now we have two categories of people. We have the manager and we have the leader. Who exactly are you? Do you accept reality or do you investigate reality? Do you focus on the work or on the people doing the work? Do you actually rely on control, or do you inspire people to work? Are you more concerned about the short term, or you looking at the bigger picture of who the team members are? Do you ask how and when this job would be done? Or do you ask what and why this job should be done? Where are your eyes? Are your eyes at the bottom line or on the horizon? Are you looking at the bigger picture? Do you initiate or do you originate? So these are qualities that we need to differentiate tonight amongst ourselves. Who exactly are you? Are you a manager or are you a leader? So that tonight we would round off with that particular slide as we ponder who we are. So, who are you? Are you a manager or are you a leader? So, let's reflect on who we are, what exactly we are doing where we are, in the little spaces where we work, in the projects that we handle, in the events that we have handled for people. Who exactly are you? You a manager or you are a leader? If you have questions, please, you can ask your questions now. Let's take a few minutes, take some questions, and then I think we can round off from there. Yeah, so questions in the chat box. Are you a manager or are you a leader? What kind of person are you? Are we together? Hello, are we still together? Omoda Solo says that she's a mix of both. Okay. So can you tell me why you think you are a mix of both? Yes, let's just share. Hmm. So Resources says, is it possible to be either manager or a leader under different circumstances? Yeah, sometimes it can. It can happen. But why I'm trying to spark that interest or spark that idea in our heads tonight is to know exactly where you are. So we are really talking about leadership tonight. But mhm, yes, I'm with you. Yeah. Really says she's more of a follower. hmm Otoyosi says that yeah, that she is. Yeah, the truth is yeah, just in response to so resources. Yeah, some of the time you can be either or both. Okay, you can be both. Yeah, because but it's important to say here that um, managing a project and playing a leadership role in the project are two distinct things entirely. Okay, so I want us to understand that very clearly. Okay, so there are times you have to provide manager responsibilities, and there are times where you have to provide leadership responsibilities. Okay? So leadership has to do with the vision, it has to do with the direction you provide, it has to do with motivation, you know, it has to do with what you're bringing on board, decision making. Okay? So some of the skills we've mentioned have to overlap in between when you're playing the role as a project manager. Remember, you are managing a project, but you are bringing some qualities, you are bringing some skills on board to help make that project more successful. Okay? All right. Jenny, I sincerely I don't advise that you have to be a servant leader all the time. Do you know why? Sometimes that style of leadership is taken for granted. So it has to be situational. Okay? All right. Inyobong says that she's first and foremost a leader. However, on the job, she have to use her initiative, else nothing gets done. That is what we're saying tonight. Okay? Yeah, sure, we understand, Jenny. Yeah, sure. We understand it's a typo error. Yeah, no problem. You know, Fatima, yeah, we said something about the leadership styles that we bring on board. Not all of them. They are not all they're not all, how do I put it? They're not all one size fits all. Yeah, let me just put that way. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. Okay. Sometimes in there are certain situations that demand you don't even you become autocratic. Like we did mention that there are sometimes if you don't push people, they do nothing. Okay. So you may just decide to apply a laissez-faire approach. Nothing maybe the work will just suffer. Okay. There are places where you don't even need to, you don't need a particular style of leadership. So it can hurt the project. Okay. As much as I advise that be very situational. No sentiments, please. There should be no sentiments. Give the project what it deserves. No emotions. You keep emotions at the gate. When you're coming for that particular job, for that particular task, it must be executed. It must be successful. That's what we're saying tonight. Okay? So you need to know when you are a manager. You need to know when you need to be a leader. There are points where you have to accept the reality, but there are times where you have to investigate. No, sincerely, I can agree with this is the reality, yes, but I have to, there need to be some analysis. You need to do a further check, delve further to understand that. Okay? So that's what we're saying tonight. Okay. So any other questions, please? Yeah, Ido says it depends on the peculiarity of the project. Yes, I quite agree with you. Okay. Yeah. Oya Naik says that she's a manager to the core. Well, uh, don't be to the core. Okay. Maybe it depends on exactly where you're coming from. Okay. Your perspective. I don't know really, but mm, what do you think of autocratic? I'm sure maybe Sophie, you may have to. Is that a typo error? Or You're talking about theocratic. Well, there are places where autocratic style of leadership works and it works fine. Okay, but not in all cases. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not in all cases. Yeah, sure. I understand. Okay. All right. Do we still have any further questions? So, how was tonight's class? If there are no further questions, how was tonight's class to you? What are your key takeaways? What do you think? How's the class for you as we round off? What are your key takeaways? And what's your learning curve tonight? 1 over 10, 2 over 10, 3 over 10, 10 over 10. What do you think? How was learning tonight for you? Hmm. Zoe, you're quite something else. She says she wants to know why and what before asking how and when. Okay, I can see. So that's a leader. She is indeed a leader. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yes, if there's anything to take away from this class, Nebugo says that leadership is situational. Okay, Sophie, theocracy. I think trying to bring in some form of I think theocracy has to do with theo is a study of the divine nature. Maybe something you're taking some form of spiritual guidance. I think that's yeah, you can have more than one features from both a manager and a leader, no doubt. Yeah, it can happen. Okay. Yeah, sure. It can happen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Leadership is service. I quite agree with you. The true essence of leadership is service. Okay. But in our society, we have a lot to do if we must get to that space. Okay. So I want to really encourage every one of us, irrespective of which style you find yourself. It's key to look at yourself and know who you are, know the kind of leader that you are, know the kind of manager that you are, know the kind of styles that are applicable at different situations that you can work with. It's not about what is convenient. It's about what will yield results for the project. Okay? Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tonight. I'm sure that we learned so much tonight. I'm sure we learned a whole lot. So, in the next class, we would talk about ethics. Please don't miss next class for anything. We'll talk a little about corruption. We'll talk a bit about bribery. We'll talk about things that are morally right or wrong, things that you should do or you shouldn't do. Okay. And, you know, so we are equipping everyone to become better project managers. Okay. So, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has made it tonight. And it's my desire that we are going to, I want to see a lot of us at the top. Okay. I want to really see every one of us at the top. Okay. So I'm rooting for everyone. Okay. So, on behalf of myself and Miss Nancy Baba Ali, this is for me, this is Kingsley saying, do have a restful night. Enjoy, be the best you can be at all times. Don't worry, Akim Pelupis, you're going to see my face next time, okay? All right, on behalf of Ladies in Tech Africa Bootcamp, this is Kingsley signing off. Thank you once again. Have a good night rest. Thank you.